All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. This is another episode of Another Day in Paradise. My name is Jawad Sifiani. We are in Rabat, and today it's a special episode since it's episode 51. Yeah, we did 50 episodes. So I thought I would make a little, you know, talk a little bit about all those 50 episodes that we did together. So in this Another Day in Paradise, we had the first one was over a year ago. We started off with the idea of, to be quite honest, I wasn't really sure how to start the Another Day in Paradise. I know I wanted to do a podcast in English, and I always enjoyed that expression, Another Day in Paradise, and the irony there, and the sarcasm, I guess, there. Um, and I started a podcast thinking maybe I could have like all my English speaking friends come over and have a little chit chat with them. I have a lot of cool, interesting friends. And I thought it would be interesting. Then I very quickly realized after I had a few of them, including one with Reda, I think it was, I'm cheating here. I have all the list of the episodes here. First one was the introduction that I did alone. It was horrible. Go check it out. Episode one. It was the pilot episode per se. Then I did one. Episode one was with Reda. It was actually fun. It was very new. I think it was one of my very first episodes in podcasting. Since I already have another podcast in French that I was doing at that time with a good friend of mine, who's still a good friend of mine, Youssef. Shout out to Youssef Akouri. Then I started doing the one in French. Then I always thought like I wanted to do one in English. So first one I did with Reda was fun. Very new territory. I think Reda also enjoyed it a lot. And we looked at ourselves and we were like, we enjoy it, but I don't know why. Like, if you tell people, yeah, we just connect in mics and headphones and we start talking and we listen to our own voice and we have some crazy lights, etc. People say, okay, so how is that fun? Well, yeah, it is fun. How is that different from just talking? It is a lot of fun. And I really believe everybody should have a podcast. It's, as far as I'm concerned, at least, it's very therapeutical. We have conversations. It's not the same as the conversations that you have with your friends or your buddies in your car or whatever in a cafe. It's actually really cool to process your thoughts, to try to be as articulated as you can, and to debate, just debating. I've always enjoyed debating. It's almost like you know you practice saying your thoughts, and it's really good for public speaking. You really develop some skills, and not so much about acting skills. Yeah, we have a camera in front of us, but it's not really any acting skills. Not that I think acting skills are much different, but we don't repeat anything. We don't know what we are going to say. And most of the time, some people might argue that I don't even know where my sentence is going to end after I started it. So, yeah, a lot of improv there. Then I did episode 2 with Madi, cool friends also. Episode 3, we did it with a bunch of Reda's friends, 2 of Reda's friends. And they're also like people I know, obviously, very cool guys. Interesting how some Moroccans who don't have the experience of living abroad in a English speaking country manage to speak English perfectly or almost perfectly. I think that's kudos to them. It's actually really fun. Ziryab and Ghali, they are just impressive. A little bit younger than me. At their age, my English was okay before I left to the US, but I don't think it was anywhere near their level of English. I think they are very impressive. So go check out episode 3, episode 4. Good friend of mine also, Thierry. Thierry is a black belt in jiu-jitsu and really cool guy. He's from Brazil. He speaks a bunch of languages: Italian, Brazilian, of course, Portuguese, and English and Spanish also. So Really, really cool guy. Go check out episode 4. We learned a lot about. I learned a lot about Brazil, about jiu-jitsu, and the philosophy around that. That's actually pretty cool. Episode 5, we did a really cool one, Halloween one, with 2 German girls. Really, really cool girls, Berit and Lisa. They were working in Morocco at that time. They left, um, and they went to other countries to work. And really, really cool episode. We talked about superstitions, etc. I'm just gonna go over the episodes really, really quickly. I'm gonna skip a bunch of them. Episode 6, we decided, oh, you know what? Maybe we should have some episodes where we talk about some current events, like whatever, some movies that we saw, some like the Alec Baldwin at that time, who had an accident where he shot somebody while they were repeating or shooting a scene, whatever. Like there was a freak accident and he killed somebody, etc., etc. We tried that for a couple times. Episode 8, we also talked about with Madi about a couple movies. Episode, which one was it? 9. I did an episode with my wife, actually. Really, really cool one. My wife is also somebody who learned English, and she speaks it pretty well for somebody who never lived in an English speaking country. I'm always impressed by those people. I'm not sure exactly at my level, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't as comfortable as they are with their English, not living abroad. Then episode 9, we talked about the Tinder swindler, Simon, and I called it Simon Says. Get it? Anyways, 10 with actually Reda. We did a bunch with Reda. Reda is a good friend of mine. He speaks English fluently. He lived in Switzerland, including in Switzerland, also South Africa, Algeria, etc., etc. He was born in Switzerland, actually. So he's a great guy and a fun guy to do podcasts with, and I do a bunch of them with him. He's on vacation right now, and he'll be back as soon as he comes back. He'll be back on the podcast as soon as he comes back from vacation. We did a podcast 10 about different podcasts that we participated in, that I launched, including Another Day in Paradise, Ça reste entre nous, and Le Foutoir, which is a soccer one. 12 is really fun, and I think we're gonna do another one of them. 12, we mixed up the languages. Speaking of languages, I'm lucky enough to know people who speak multiple languages, and I pretend to speak a couple languages myself: English, Arabic, French, and a little bit of Spanish. I can handle basic conversations in Spanish, I guess. So we decided to play a game which everybody thought was crazy, but I thought it would be fun. And I do podcasts to have fun. And so the rule is you select a language from a hat. You pick a language, and then you pick a topic. And then the language you selected could be English, Arabic, etc., or German, whatever. You have to debate that topic. Like the table has to debate that topic with the language each one of us selected. So if you select English, you can only debate this topic in English. If you select German and you don't speak German, well, too bad for you. You will just be quiet, or you just use the few words that you know in German. Pretty, really fun one. Episode 12, I really recommend that to you. Then, as you probably noticed, as starting from episode 16, we changed a little bit the thumbnails. I decided to go for a black and white one, and with the yellow framing thing. So honestly, I'm just being lazy. I think it looks okay. It looks good. It's different from what you see online. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe I should go back to another one, like with colors, make it pop more. I feel like this one is a style that's easily recognizable online on YouTube, and there are so many thumbnails on YouTube. This one is at least easy to recognize, for better or for worse. Maybe it's easy to recognize, so please don't click on it. But yeah, starting from episode 16, Reda and I, we often talk about the work environments, etc. And the so we talk about being fired, asking for a raise, and this and that. So we tackle it from different angles every time. So on episode 16, we said like we called it "It's just a job." Like, don't stress out about work so much. Like, your work doesn't define you. Your life is a whole bunch of things. It's not just your work, especially that at this time, like, we see a lot of motivation videos or like, oh, you have to come on, push harder, be the boss of your boss, ask for a raise, create your own company, get rich, etc. And we tend to forget that life is not all about work. Then episode 17, etc. We talked about different things like the difference in cultures between different countries where we lived and here. I mainly lived only in the US for 12 years, but I like to compare the different cultures. It's not better or worse, it's just different, and we like to go deep inside that and analyze it a little bit. Episode 19, we had actually a friend of Madi who still lives in the States. He's Moroccan, he lives in the States, and he was debating like, what's there for me if I come back home? And you know the expression, you can never go back home? It took me a while to understand it. You can never go back home. And coming back after living for such a long time abroad, when you come back, it's like, well, it's not your home anymore, but it was never your home where you were really 100%. So after you live for such a long time abroad, you realize you don't have a home anymore. You make your own home. You, whether you live in your original country or in another country, you make your own lifestyle, and that's what's most important. So, and it's good to be a hybrid. I think hybrid is the best. You can adapt everywhere, and languages are very important. If you speak the language, especially English, I think English is kind of like the Joker card. You can use it everywhere, and it gets you out of jail there. All right, then moving on. Yeah, then we talked about catfish. Again, back to the motherland. This time we talked with a friend of Sad. Actually, Sad is Reda's cousin. He's Canadian. He lived in Canada most of his life, including since he was like 4 or 5. I'm not sure, but since he was very young, and he recently moved to Morocco. The transition was actually interesting for him, and he brought a friend of his who's a musician from Canada and who performs in French, I think mostly. Really, really cool musician, Benny Adam. I will put the link in the description. Really, really cool guy. We should have him again if he's back in Morocco. He's originally from Morocco, I think, but he also lived kind of like similar to Sad. He lived in Canada most of his life, or all of his life. Yeah, then my other episode that I did alone actually was episode 25. Yeah, I called it Flying Solo. I did it on my way to the farm, to my farm. I did it in my car, recorded it in my car. The quality was okay. I mean, it was kind of a fun episode. I'm not sure what I talked about. I think if I remember correctly, I talked about different jobs around farming, like on the countryside, like people who help you, like they dig a well for you, they plant trees, whatever, farmers, etc., that you hire. And this environment is actually in the countryside. Superstition is very strong, and perceptions of things is very strong, and the pace, the rhythm of life is definitely a lot slower. It's already slow in the cities here in Morocco compared to the cities in Europe and, and in the US. But in the countryside, everything is like, it's their own environment, their own pace. They don't care about, the time. When you add an hour I'm losing my words here. The time change. the winter time and the summertime and whatever, where you change the time. I'm not sure if it happens in the US. I think in Europe it's more like a European thing and a Moroccan thing. But anyways, there's no time change. They don't care. When it's dark, it's dark. When it's light, it's light. That's all they care about. They rarely have watches. Honestly, they just don't care about time. Very, very interesting mentality. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it just different? That that could have been the theme of the whole podcast. Then again, none of your business. Not sure. Probably we talked about business. And Don't Help Africa, episode 28. That was actually a really cool one also about charity and using the keywords like Africa to help pull the heartstrings, etc. And Africa is such a broad term, and it makes people want to donate more. But donations and charity is a very, very scammy business. A lot of people use that because it's tax-free, because it has a lot of advantages and not a lot of control there. So we hear a lot of scams about charities and etc. 28, 30, copycats. Yeah. And then we talked about episode 32. We had Ali, who's Reda's brother, actually. I keep my circle tight. Ali is an environmentalist, and we talked about the Qatar World Cup and how they were very, very criticized very hardly, I guess I should say, about, some people said, oh, they would put AC outside because they would make it in the summer. It's too hot there, blah, blah, blah. They organized the World Cup. They cheated. They did this. They did that. Honestly, kudos to them. They had a really, really, really cool World Cup. One of the best, if not the best. They spent a lot of money. So what? It's their own money. It's the sponsors' money. And their communication was spotless, was like perfect. It went really, really well. So interesting there. I want to speak to your manager, episode 33. 34, we talked about something that happened to me and Reda when we were leaving my apartment here. We met this old lady on episode 34. We mentioned it, and she was actually, let's just put it this way. The neighborhood is really, really good. Her apartment is really nice, but she's alone. She's old. And she has somebody to help her. She has some help at home, like one woman who's helping her. But the woman was like gone all day, and she was alone all day. So tough one there. And the door was ajar, and she was just staring, like waiting behind the door and just looking outside. And I'm like, are you okay? What are you doing? And she said, oh, yeah, well, I'm just waiting for the help. She's coming back. I said, oh, is that her? I'm hearing the door is closing. No, she left me at home all day, and I'm hungry, and I need to get changed, and I'm bored as fuck. Like, so yeah, I felt really sad. And we talked for like 2 minutes, and she mentioned a few things. She said, for example, like my children are rich. Like, they are very successful. Not rich. She didn't say rich. She said they are very successful. In Morocco, we don't like to talk about money. Nobody will say I'm rich. They will show it to you, even though some of them who are not, they will try to show it to you at least. They will pretend, I guess. But she said, oh, my children are successful, and they bought me a nice apartment. I have somebody who's supposed to be here, a woman who's supposed to be here to help me 24/7. But I don't need their money. I don't need their nice apartment. I don't want to be alone. So that was interesting. Anyway, so we mentioned it in episode 34. And what should we do with our elders? I mean, everybody will be old at one point or another, unless we die before. But theoretically, everybody will be old. And where do you see yourself? What is your favorite solution? What is your ideal solution? Do you want to live with your children and be maybe a burden, or not? Is it really a burden, or is it like, hey, you helped them when they were babies, they help you when you're old? I don't know. This is a pretty cool topic. Episode 36. 36 was a cool one. These are episode 36 is one of them that I feel like we could have gone for much, much longer. We could have done or maybe we will. A few other episodes around the same theme is the art of being alone. Um, being alone is a superpower. You know, they say like, be careful of the person who is not afraid to be alone because he will not tolerate your BS. Because worst case scenario is not actually that bad. He will be alone, and he's mastering that that art. You know, it's like in the Batman movie with Bruce Wayne, where he says, "Oh, you think darkness is your ally? I was born in darkness. Like darkness got nothing on me. So be careful of people who can who master the art of being alone. They don't care. They You have to bring something to the table. Be fun, be entertaining, be honest, be real. Like don't threaten them, oh, I'm gonna leave you. They don't give a shit. Yeah, it's gonna hurt them, but being alone is something that doesn't scare them. So, and I think this is a superpower for sure. You gotta know how to be alone before you know how to be with somebody, if you ask me. But hey, who's asking me really? All right. Then yeah, a bunch of other episodes. Episode 37, we did a New Year resolution with Reda. Obviously, if you follow it, if you go on episode 37, we talked about how we keep promising and lying to ourselves about New Year resolutions. But hey, if you see me, you know that I didn't, besides cutting my hair, I didn't do anything following my resolutions. And honestly, I don't want to lie to myself. I know myself well enough that I don't want to promise myself anything, you know. But I'll keep trying, you know. You know, as they say, there is an expression that I really love. It says, "The sun will rise and we will try again." You know, that's the story of my life. I keep trying, and I think maybe life is about the journey, not the destination, maybe. But anyways, that's what I keep telling myself. Episode 40, like I said, this is a very recurrent theme. Episode 40, we talked with Thierry, another episode with Thierry about where is home. Thierry has been living in so many countries. And when I asked him where home was, he gave me a very interesting answer, which is, hey, it doesn't matter. Do you feel more at home in Brazil or do you feel I'm more at home in Morocco? I was like, yeah, probably he's going to say Brazil. I set him up for easy smash. And he said, oh, no, actually, it doesn't matter. I feel really comfortable in my head. I feel really comfortable creating my bubble, and my bubble can go anywhere. He speaks multiple languages. He's a man. I think that helps in terms of security. He can go to any countries, really. He would not be targeted. He speaks multiple languages. He can manage his way around everywhere, and then he has a great job. He has a little bit of money, so yeah, he can be home everywhere. And I think creating that bubble is actually pretty interesting. And he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so that sure helps. It gives you a different perspective in life. 41, honestly, we'll talk about, I'll conclude with the views and the expectations, etc. And I'll give you my honest opinion about it. 41, you know, sometimes when you were in high school and you think you did really, really well on the test, and when you get your grades back, you realize you did really, really poorly. It's that disappointment. Except here, nobody's going to yell at you or to punish you for doing poorly in school. You know, that forgive and forget, I really thought it would be a really cool one that I'm losing here. Which one was it? Forgive and forget. Oh yeah, 41, episode 41, forgive and forget. That one really, I thought it would hit the spot. And, but again, a lot of people say we should advertise more, etc. Anyways, I don't want to jump the gun. Let me go over the views and the expectations after. But forgive and forget, really cool one. I did it with Reda again. Really, really interesting. Forgive and forget is like many expressions. It looks easy to do. It's okay, let me just apply all these expressions, but then all the expressions, they don't go the same direction. So you have to select and pick and choose which ones you want to obey by. But forgive and forget, it's easy to forget. Really deep inside your heart, you're like, okay, I have no animosity against you. but it's very hard to forgive because it's not something voluntarily that you do voluntarily. I remember a very quick story. I'm watching the time. I want to make it under 30 minutes, but very quickly. I had a friend back in high school, and at that time we had CDs, and he said, and I said, "Oh man, that's such a cool CD album. Can I borrow it? I just want to record it on a tape at that time, and a cassette tape." And I said, can you, if you bring it tomorrow morning between the lunch break, I'll go back home, I'll record it, and I'll bring it to you in the afternoon. That way, your CD will not even sleep outside your house. And he didn't want to give it to me, and he was finding an excuse. Remember, this is Morocco. Morocco, we don't just say no, which I really appreciate in the US. It was a little bit hard at first, but then I'm like, wow, this is such a superpower just to be direct and straightforward. He said, "Hi, man, all right, if I don't forget, I hope I will not forget." I said, how do you, why do you add that as a like, okay, it's like a given. Like, listen, why would you consider it a factor, a main factor? Okay, just assume you will not forget. And then if you forget, you forget. Don't compute it as like, oh, well, I will unless I forget. Okay, well, don't forget. And I called out his bullshit, and I made him. I'm like, listen, if you say no, don't give me that bullshit. It's you preemptively giving me an excuse. Just say yes or say no. He said, no, all right, but please don't give it to anyone. Anyway, so he brought it, and I copied it. I think it was the Fugees, if I remember correctly. Really, really cool album. I think the Fugees is a really cool band. I heard one of the guys from the Fugees was a snitch for the FBI or something. I don't know. If somebody knows anything about it, write something on the comment. Moving right along, I'm trying to push it here, go a little bit faster. Then we had another guest, a friend of mine, actually, a colleague of mine, who is Usama. He's actually a really, really cool dude. I only met him a couple times since I work from home, and he does too. So I don't really see my colleagues or exchange with them at all. But I saw him a couple times in some work meetings, and a really cool dude. Obviously speaks English fluently, and he's also a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. I think he's a blue belt, purple belt, something like that. Purple, I think. And or blue, I'm not sure. I think blue. Anyways, doesn't matter. And he's been doing kickboxing all his life. And he tried jiu-jitsu, and he loved it. We will probably do an episode about jiu-jitsu because it's really, really cool. I tried it 3 weeks ago. It was interesting. And of course, I had him with Thier, who's a black belt, Brazilian. He was a little bit, I'm not sure if he was impressed, but he was definitely happy to be there. And the way I see Thier, I never saw him before as a practitioner of jiu-jitsu. Like I didn't see him in action. So for me, I see him like in the streets or hanging out, and we having fun. And now that I did a session with him and I rolled with him, actually, I see Thier differently. I'm more impressed by him. It's like I'm getting a little bit starstruck, even though I don't usually get starstruck. So, Usama, whenever you want to do another podcast, you're welcome here anytime, buddy. The next episode, we did it with Hannah. Hannah is also a cool girl. She is also a colleague of mine. And pretty interesting. We did one about school and degrees and diplomas and how important they are and how important they are not, how important they are to our parents and families, and how important they are for our jobs. What does it really mean to have this piece of paper saying you achieved blah, blah, blah? Like, should I hire you just based on that, or should I hire you based on what you can really do, like something tangible? And the answer, again, it's in a gray area. It's a little bit of both. But if you ask me, it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't really mean shit. 47. I think I want to have Saad come back again. And because I feel like I didn't really say everything that I wanted to say. I wanted to be a little more in depth with that friendship theme. And I tried to be a little bit provocative here, and I said I don't believe in friendship. Of course I do, but what I mean by that is I don't believe in friendship as far as I'm concerned. I believe that I've seen two people being friend. I've seen what a friendship means, but I would love to go more in depth in this. And I think Saad and I, we have almost the same perspective on friendship, and I think we should do another one with him, just me and him, and like tackle this issue. Happiness, episode 48, really cool one. The ranking of happiness, Morocco is like number 89 or something, or maybe even more. Pakistan is before. Tobago, whatever that country in Africa, is also ranked way before, way better than Morocco. It's a matter of perspective. Happiness is very hard to define. Like the top 10 countries are Denmark, Finland, etc., and they are consistently ranked top 10. Very cold countries. Most people go on vacation in the summer because it's hot. Most people are looking for the sun and hot weather. But yet, the top 10 countries, top 10 happiest countries are cold countries. Finland, Sweden, etc., Denmark. So what does it say? It says that, it's very subjective. And even this ranking, it's a suggestive ranking, in my opinion, because, hey, what is happiness? In Morocco, I feel like people are pretty happy. Is this economical, are we striving economically? Yes and no. I mean, compared to a lot of countries, yeah, we are doing okay. Algeria is a country neighboring us. They have a lot more resources, natural resources. Are we happier than them? I think so, because of many, many aspects, politically, stability, economically, and also the atmosphere in Morocco, I guess. If you go to Spain, you'll understand that Spanish people are very happy. But if you go to France in the summer and if you go to Spain in the summer, you would think that Spain is more lively. Does that translate to happiness? I'm not sure. I don't know about this ranking. Very interesting. Some countries who are ahead of other countries, that for me is a little bit controversial, and I disagree with, to say the least. But again, I haven't lived in these countries, so it's very hard to judge the country from outside and to just crunch numbers and say, okay, this one is ranked better than that one. Yeah. Okay. Wild animals, episode 49. I called it This Is Wild. I went to the zoo with my wife and my little daughter. I was a little bit skeptical before going to the zoo because I really hate when people mistreat animals, just because animals cannot speak, cannot complain, really. And the saddest thing, I think, why I feel more, passionate about protecting animals is that the animals, like a dog, if you beat him up and you leave, he thinks you abandoned him. And when you come back, he's happy to see you. So he loves you almost unconditionally. And I think that's so pure and so beautiful that it needs to be protected. So protect people who cannot speak out, people who cannot speak out for themselves, and who are so naive, so pure that they will love you even if you hurt them. I think that part is the part that makes me love animals and want to protect animals a lot. I see in Morocco, many people say, well, like especially tourists, when they come to Morocco, they see like it's very rare, okay? Sometimes they see donkeys pulling like a chariot or whatever, and they are being like in the city and they are like carrying heavy things, etc. In the countryside, it's also it exists also there. But interesting questions there. I'm not sure about the answer, but are they mistreated? Is this good? Is this bad? Blah, blah, blah. Do they feel pain the same way we feel pain? Like when they carry a lot of weight and they walk for a long distance, is this comparable to a human being carrying a lot of weight? Are they supposed to I don't know. How do they perceive it? Is this torture or is this just normal horseback riding? Some people can say, "Oh, well, we should not ride horses. Horses are not meant to ride to be ridden by people." So, yeah, well, that's I don't know. This is a good topic. In Morocco, I would say a lot of streets and cats, um, yeah, like a lot of dogs and cats in the streets. Sorry, and but I see a lot of people, a lot of people giving them food. Like you will find sometimes like cat foods, crackers or whatever, like in the streets. That's actually a good gesture, and I see that everywhere. So mixed feelings about that. Episode 50, we finished with Ziryab and Reda, and it was really cool. We talked about gender. I think we could have done a better job, in my opinion. Maybe talk about it in a more structured way, maybe in a longer way. Do like a 2-3 series episode about gender, because there is so much thing about it. Now, let me wrap this up about Another Day in Paradise is a podcast that I started as a challenge for fun. Um, I would lie to you if I said that I did not expect any views. To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect. I wanted to do something fun, and I didn't want to prepare. I didn't want to do it like like an oral presentation that I used to do in university and high school, etc., etc. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want the pressure of that. I wanted to keep it loose. I wanted to work on my improv skills, I guess, and just have fun with my friends and not make it academic. In terms of the views, we have some like the very first episodes, I guess we had around 100 views, something like that, 120, 140. Let me just double check as I say this. Yeah, very first episode, 284 views, 200, and then 250, and then 206, and then 94, 105, 137, 93. So, and then it kept, so I think at first it was like novelty. So people were interested, curious, including people I know. I'm sure some of my friends, they shared it with, oh, look, Jawad is doing this. Like, okay, curiosity. And then it died out. And I feel like it would be, it's the normal thing to happen. Then we reach our like cruising speed, and the cruising speed is more like 40, 20 sometimes. We had a bunch of ones with 20. I'm not gonna lie, disappointed, but not a big deal because they are fun to do. I would be extremely disappointed if I prepared and if I, had the meeting before with the person I would present and like, okay, write some drafts, write some ideas, and do it like a very very scholarly and etc. And then I would get like 20 views. I would be disappointed, but I am much less disappointed because we do it very, very freestyle. Sometimes I put like the very beginning where we are just preparing. Okay, let's go. All right, ready? All right. So do you want to do this or do that? All right, whatever. Boom. Okay, record. Hey, how are you guys? Listen. So it's fun. 20 views is disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I in my head, I'm like, my objectives is to reach around 100 people. 100 people per episode, honestly, I think like pretty cool. Nothing major. We are not gonna break any records, or maybe we are, but on the negative side. But if you have like a little bit of interest, then it feels decent. It feels like what you're doing is actually watched. A lot of people have saying, "Dude, this is really cool," and then I keep asking myself, like, what if what we are doing is fun for us, but it's actually not that good? Actually, it's boring or shitty or whatever. And I think it's healthy to ask yourself these kind of questions because, yes, we want to entertain ourselves, but since we have this setup, the camera and everything, we also want to entertain other people. Like, let's be honest, we are not gonna and the main idea is I want to create a community and to create interactions with people around different themes. I love to discuss things, etc., to have different opinions coming from different sides, etc., etc. I love that. So that's the main idea. Now, of course, if you only have 20 people, including like 10 or 12 people that maybe participated or are your parents, your sister, your mother, your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, your husband, then these people will do it because they like you, not because they like the content. And that's why I tell people, don't click because you're doing me a favor. Click because you want to click on it. Click like if you didn't know me and you thought it would be something that would interest you. That's the click that I really want. I don't want to have and to be honest, to have 20 views more or less, it's really not going to change anything. So if you are genuinely interesting and curious about it and you like the topics, click on it. If you don't, that's fine. Don't worry about it. There are a lot of podcasts that are really cool. And maybe next time I should mention the podcast that I listen to myself, including mine, of course. The Joe Rogan, but not only This American Life, the NPR podcast are actually really cool. But anyways, Lex Friedman, also really cool, the MIT professor. I actually download them, save them, and I listen to them in my car. Some people really encourage us, and I receive sometimes emails and messages on the YouTube page saying, dude, this is amazing. Please keep doing them. I watch them. I listen to them regularly, blah, 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 blah. This is really cool. And honestly, it means a lot. If only a couple people take the time to tell you, to encourage you, and to tell you, well, this is great. Perfect. Honestly, I know it's going to sound arrogant maybe, but we would keep doing them. And I think Reda agrees with me. We would keep doing them even if we keep getting like 20, 30, 40 views. Now, granted, sometimes we have 200 views, 300 views. And these times is because the guest that we invite shares it with his community. And they are, again, curious and they click on it. Oh, my buddy is there, is in doing a podcast. Okay, click on it. And then boom, they are here. Some of them subscribe, but very few, like 3-4 subscriptions. And I hesitate to fall for this, because a logic thing would be like, well, if you want to reach 300, 400 views or whatever, compared to 30, 40 views, it's 10 times more sometimes. So I would be tempted to say, well, at least I need to invite those people so I can get, like 10 times more views than I usually get. But this is not the path I want to fall on. I really want to keep going and having fun. This is the main priority. And I think most people, all the people who come here as guests and as co-stars or whatever you want to call them, they are they get it very quickly. This is just a fun. Don't rehearse anything. Just relax. Say what you need to say. Hesitate. Say yes. Say no. Agree. Disagree. Whatever, and have fun. And this is why we do the podcast. I started the podcast as like, it's probably going to be less than 30 minutes. It's now, I can see here, almost 45 minutes. I'm going to shut it down here. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been following us, who's been liking, subscribing. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. A lot of people have been saying, we should do more advertising, more marketing, etc. We will. We just want to have organic growth and not like inject money to have more superficial views. So I guess we'll keep doing it that way. And if we find some a clean way to gain more exposure, so maybe people could be more interested, that would be great. If not, we will keep doing this no matter what. Thank you so much for following us. I'll see you next time.